Hey, how you doing? Let's do it to it. I'm gonna get a sip and then we'll get started on our puzzle rush. Let me see here. So let me see. Check. Grab here. Okay. Hey, how you doing? So I had to make sure that worked. Uh, 28. Here we no, that one wouldn't work, would it? Let me see here. You grab the rook takes, and then queen takes. Okay. Here we go. That can't be right. Let's see here. What am I? See, queen h5, g6. Thinking that's it. Bishop takes. Just one sec. I'll be right with you on that comment. So check. I can check. No. If I take. No. Well, yeah, I guess I could check there, couldn't I? Oh, wait a second. It's black. It's, that's funny. It's, black to move. Come on. Let me see here. I'm just getting started on this. Let me see here. So check. I'm not sure on that one. Okay, what did you say? Why not just do why not? Yeah, I am. But it's just gotta tell you sometimes these are really complicated. It's different when you're doing it on time. I get sometimes nervous on that. Let's see, where did we go wrong here? Okay. Oh, it's that. Huh. That's an odd one. Okay, let's check here. Okay. Ah. Okay, so take the pawns better. Gotta keep that in my back pocket. Okay, so that's not it. So a pin. All right, let's give it another go. So if I come over there, it comes there, and I come there. Yep. Oh. Let's see here. Ah, fork. Oh, drat. What in the world? How did I miss that one? So was it? Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay. That I missed. That was mate 2. So I gotta work on that. Not so good here. Gotta do it one more time. Let me see. So that's not right. It must take and then there. Okay. Okay. What did I miss here? Okay. It's this. So not that. Ah, mate. Let's try that again. So there, and then mate to remove the defenders there. Okay, let's get this one sip, and then we'll get started. One more time. Come on. Let's get 28. Come on. No distractants. 28, 28. Come on. Boom. Come on. Don't let anything in. Good check. There it is. me see here. Rotate. Oh. Okay, keep going. Don't let this distract from the plan. Let me see here. So bishop takes h6, pawn takes h6, queen bishop. Okay, and then I can rover. Ah. Okay. Come on. Don't blunder here. You gotta stay focused on task. So if it takes. Let me see here. There's mate. Let's see. Ah. We'll stop there. Almost got 28 there, drat. That was painful. So let's see, what do we got here? So take is wrong. Yeah, I like the control, like the ones that Fabi likes. I do like that. It's fun to do longer games sometimes. I'm just trying to figure out. Let me see. Where did I go awry here? I think it may have been this here. Yeah, drat. Then I could take. Darn it. I gotta remember removing the guards. I gotta get that down. Remove the guards is one of the things, and then here that when it sometimes time is a little sitch. There, see. I gotta get that down. I gotta not let the time get to me. Okay. So basically, not that. Okay, so it's queen. Nope. Okay. That wouldn't work either? Huh. Oh, check. Ah. Okay. So checking here. And then you could take there and then checks, and then when he comes up here to block, and then you can actually just take here. Oops. Blocks there, takes there, king takes, and then you're basically good to go. So let's try that one more. Check. Takes. Takes. There we go. Okay, now we're going to get into our studies. Sometimes it takes me a second to get warmed up on the puzzles. Alrighty. I'll get into our studies. We're going to be going over Carlsen's black here. So, and this is the classic, kind of like the Steinitz variation. So we're there we go. Save chapter. Alright. Okay, dokie. Let's turn the board. So Carlsen is black here. And so, and V, and I'll type the gentleman's name in. I don't know how to pronounce it. His name is V. That's the gentleman who's playing Gashimov. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I didn't want to say it wrong. That's who Magnus is playing. White is this gentleman. So e4, e6, d4, d5. Knight c3, knight f6, and then bishop to g5 here. This is the main line classic. Oh, it's the Bern. Yeah, because one of them's the Steinitz variation. I think the Steinitz variation is e5, which is the most common. The Bern variation is bishop g5. I like. Oh, you like to play the two knights? Oh, so you like knight f3. So you like the knight f3. Oh, the Winier. Yeah, we went over the Winier. There's a whole thing with the Winier that you have to know. This here, I think, is an okay line for black. But this is the Bern variation. There's a couple lines in the classic sublines. There's the Steinitz, there's the Bern. I think that's it. I'm not exactly sure. I think there's one more. I'm trying to get better in the French. And this variation, white retains the pawn tension while developing with a pin. So D takes E. With black's last move, the position transposes into a line of the Rubinstein, but I think one more favorable one is more favorable to black in the Rubinstein, since when you include G5, bishop G5, black actually is not as good. So if the knight was on D2, it would have been better. Hold on, I gotta make this bigger. There we go. So if the knight was on D2, it would have been a little bit better. Slightly. But because black plays bishop E7, white will either be forced to swap pieces or back down and lose time. Since black is cramped, each swap is helpful for black. In the next few games we will look at potentially B4, bishop B4, or bishop E7. Magnus didn't, yeah, me too. Magnus didn't go down that route. I mean, his opponent didn't. His opponent grabbed the pawn and said, prove it. And then bishop E7. Knight B D7 is played less often because knight F3 would be played. Bishop E7, knight takes check. Of course, bishop takes, and then you have the clad. This is kind of like a clad variation of the French. I think it's the Alekhine clad variation or Chad variation. And in this line, you don't actually take, because if you were to take, the pawn can actually take back here and unleash a lot of misery on black. You also could take with the knight, but I've seen a lot of players take with the knight and then H6 kicks the knight back, and you don't acquire anything. That's why you would more likely take with the pawn. The rook's open onto the H7. Then all you got to do is move your queen to D3 and then castle queenside, and now you got a ready-made attack already. Oops, I need to. Oops, we're not done with this line yet. So he didn't play this. So let's see. H4, castles. So we gotta promote this to the main line. Bishop D3, C5 to undermine the pawn center. And then queen E2, getting ready to castle queenside. C takes D. Queen E4 to threaten mate. G6 is forced. And castle queenside. The computer calls the game even, while I like white's developmental lead and attacking chances. This is actually a game between Garry Kasparov as white and Vishy Anand in the Rapid 2000, straight up the year 2000. But in this line, bishop takes F. If knight takes, there's actually another line. Knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, is too tame to produce any advantage for white at this point. No advantage, because the majority of the attacking pieces have been traded off. Black's going to castle kingside and then untangle all of his pieces and be right as rain. So, and Magnus actually took G takes F6, which he's basically saying to his opponent, I'm getting ready to, one second, I need a sip. I'm getting ready to castle, maybe queenside. Surprisingly, G takes F6, it has been played a few times. It actually is a commonly played move. So don't be afraid to recapture on f6 with a pawn, which is black's most dynamic move, where he agrees to damage his structure for the bishop pair on the G file, and increase central influence. In my opinion, not such a bad deal for bishop takes G6. And then, so what happens is he played knight F3. Magnus played F5 here, but there is a line where, let me see here, F3, castle. You can actually still castle here. Move your king over and bring your rook. Castles, queen D2, knight D7, castle queenside. Also leads to a sharp position with opposite side castling, which is kind of a scary position for black. But you have to get your king safetied, so you have to be okay with that type of position. You can also play at this point B6 if you wanted to, or you can play A6, also is playable here. It just stops, what it does is it stops the bishop from infiltrating to G5. B3 allows for fianchettoing of your bishop, and if the bishop does come, so the fianchettoing of your bishop, if the bishop does come, then you can actually play C6 and get some queenside expansion going, because you know your opponent's going to castle queenside because they want to take advantage of your weak king. So knight G3. The alternate move is actually hopping to C3, knight C3, hopping to acquire the future break D5 to come down the pike. A6, G3, B5, bishop G2. Whoa, what? How can this be I can't. Oh, because this pinned here. I thought there wasn't. Okay, perfect. So everything's good. Castles kingside and then castles kingside. So now it's about. I'm gonna give a slight. Oh yeah, you can too with that. So C5 was played by Magnus, which is an interesting line. Such a move usually leads to a glory or really a bad one. Really bad move, but rather anything in between. The move follows the principle open the position when you have the bishop pair, yet violates the principle of conforming when lagging in development. So it doesn't conform. If you're lagging in development, you don't want to open up, but because black has the two bishops, he's going to try to open the center up. So B5 check, bishop D7, bishop takes, queen takes, and then D5 for white as an interesting line. What you're trying to do is take advantage of that. If you do take and then the queen takes back, the pawn takes, knight takes, and so it's like well, not really. I usually just train with the Chess Cruncher team on here. I do probably the most I do of playing is Puzzle Rush, and that's just to get my my neurons and all my brain ready, so that when I'm thinking it, you know, ready to roll, rocking to roll. it's impossible to correlate with your opponent who basically has a different way of doing things in this thing. To try to figure out sometimes what your opponent's going to play is hard, but if you know the principles and your opponent violates the principles, then what you can actually do is take and be okay with that, because if you know that it's not going to hurt your position. And he says it just feels right to a GM who realizes that on his developmental lead to sacrifice a pawn to open the position. A grandmaster would get a feel for it, like Spider-Man has spidey senses. A grandmaster gets chess sense, as I like to call it, and they'll sense when it's the right time, even if they haven't castled. They'll break, and you'll think to yourself, why in the world is a grandmaster going to sacrifice a pawn? What is with that? Well, they see that if they can weaken your structure, then they can basically slowly boa constrict you. And this also keeps the position closed, which favors white's two knights. So if Magnus, I'm not sure if he took, no, he didn't take. Let me see, he take, yeah, he took. I think he has to take, but by taking here, he actually closed up the position. Surprisingly, White did something that was really important too. White traded off the bishop pair, so in some lines you may have to trade off your pair of bishops even at the cost of a pawn, and it may slow down the game a little bit, but you're ahead in development. Okay, so e5, 95, bishop e6. Now the knight's pinned, so he's going to have to drop a pawn in there. E6 black's queen begins to dance around the board. F5, knight d7, castle kingside. Magnus castled queenside, which is a playable move. But surprisingly, I would have played this here. Knight takes, which is an interesting move here. It's interesting. Hold on. Because if f takes, don't play e takes, because that's a mistake. You don't want to do that. You have to keep that, because you'll end up getting tagged there, and it'll be knight takes f5. You don't want that. Okay. King f8, queen h5. White has winning chances here. So knight f6. Knight f6 is a playable move here. Queen d3, c4, queen takes f5, h5, a to e1, h4, and then knight g6, exclam here. Bishop b6, check. King h1. F takes g. Queen takes g, check. King d8. King f5. Knight f5. And then bishop to c5 here, which is very complicated and unhelpful, but a computer calls it equal. So castles, queen h5, excuse me, knight takes, f takes, e takes, a e1, queen d4, check, king h1. White is down 2 pawns, yet understands he will win them back since the f pawns are colossal weakness. 1 second, gotta get a drink. Queen h4, exclam at this point. Rook takes f5. Queen takes h5. If queen had taken on f7, that would have been actually a mistake here, because bishop d6, and black is in a favorable position because of the attack here. Which game? This is let me get the name right. It's Magnus versus Magnus is black, and this gentleman right here, copy. White is this player, and Magnus is black, Magnus Carlsen, and it's in Morocco. It's a Rapid 2011. So there we go. Knight takes, rook d7. Well, it was just a game that was played in this book here that we're going over. First steps, the French. So it was a game that the author picked out. I like learning from all players. I remember what Jeremy Silman said. He said that you can learn from any level of a chess player, and you just take it and you can learn something from it. Rook takes f7, bishop d8, rook f5, b6, knight f4. Well, I've been just seeing who's winning. I haven't really been watching it, no. I'll have to, when the games get posted, maybe pull up a game from Nakamura or Fabi or Magnus or one of them, and we'll just see how they played, just for fun. But we're in an intensive study right now. We're trying to get the French down, the French defense, get a deeper understanding of it. A6, knight f4, okay. d5, or d4. Yeah. He's actually, he's about to break the 2800 marker, so that's going to be good. Yeah, for a while there, I really thought that Magnus Carlsen was going to actually break into the 2900 level club. I thought he was going to, because he was just like defeating everything in Classic. He was really, really close to the 2900 level club, which would have been a whole new category for the humans. Because I know that computers, I know that the computers are like 3500, so to be in the 2900 level club would be cool. Okay, let's see, d4. In this end game, now we're entering into an end game here. We have the opposite wing pawn majority, so we got to look at our end game now. Since we've gone past the opening, we're past the middle game. Now we're into a heavy piece end game where there's two rooks for both sides and then a bishop. White's pieces are more aggressively placed, so there's the really nice thing for black is black has a really far advanced d4 pawn, which is protected by a nice chain of pawns. But white does have more active pieces at this present moment. And black's bishop has the potential to be a super minor piece because yeah. And so black's bishop has a potential to be a super minor piece when it comes to opposite side pawns, because the bishop can just slice and dice. Oops. Here, in one move, it can go from b8 all the way to h2, where the knight, it would take it 2, and potentially to get back would take it 4 moves. So it would take the knight 4 moves to actually 2 moves to get to one side, and then 2 moves to get back, and bishops can do it in 1. So it's the ultimate, as I like to call it, ultimate sniper. The bishops are. So b3 was actually played by Magnus's opponent to restrict black's pawn majority, because if white tried to get their pawn majority going, Magnus could actually play c4 here. I know this kind of like, what are you doing? Aren't you weakening it? Yeah, but you've stopped actually this here, and potentially you could get d3 in. So if he plays here, you can get actually d3 in. And if he takes, now you're one square away from queening. So bishop c7 was played here to attack the knight, and this is actually one of the most active spots for the bishop at the present moment. Knight d3, so the knight's trying to oops, not d5, sorry, d3. White trying to get their rooks connected. Also, he's trying to stunt the progress of black's pawns on the queen side, and thus he's trying to get his pawns rolling on the king side. It's going to be who can organize their pawn onslaughts the best. Okay, dokie. Let me see here. Bishop D, Rook G8. Now we're trying to get our back rank rook into the fight, maybe via a rover, and that may be a good idea. So g3 here, pawn g3. This stops the bishop's activity along the for a little bit. Rook g3, g6. See, like what we talked about, we're seeing if we can't play rook h6 and then pick up a pawn via there. Okay, king g2. Yeah, sometimes, but I have it recently. Rook g6. Or rook c6. Let's see here. See, no, what? No. C6 is to get this pawn rolling. That's an exclam move, by the way, because Magnus had to foresee that he needs to get his rooks involved, so he did a rover, rook up and over. He's getting ready to play c4. Hey, how you doing, Rock? So e2, which is an interesting move. You have to always take in. Sometimes we have to take a risky approach in our play to get compensation. Oh, great. You can't have a bad day when the Lord allows you to do chess, so it's always fun. Especially I get to hang out with Team Chess Cruncher. That's fun. So e4. So the passive defensive move that White could have chosen would have been b2, but this would have been a little too passive. For Magnus would have just played probably b5 here, and then still got on with his idea after a6, and then c4. Oh, I don't think so. I enjoy studying. You know what? That's the fun thing about chess. You can play over games of the greats, and you can learn something from that. So c4 now is Magnus's idea to basically try to break up the queen side. B takes, and now C takes, and so this rook has to stay and babysit C2, and the knight is outposted for the time being, but rook A4 could actually be a playable move for Magnus later on, because now the A2 doesn't have its brother B3, the B pawn, to help it if it needs to. I appreciate y'all coming on, so you're always welcome to come on. And if you have any questions on some of these openings, like this opening here, we just ask about the move or something like that, and I'll do my best to explain why they're playing it. Some of their moves are really deep. Some of them are straightforward, you know. Some have a multitude of ideas behind them, and it's always fun when you get to figure it out before they move. Then you're thinking down the right path. So rook h5, rook a4, like what we talked about. So now Magnus is attacking the pawn. Knight c1, king b7 here. Your king's an important fighting piece in the endgame, so don't forget your king. Rook d2, a6, rook h4. Oops, not h6, sorry, h4. Bishop d8 to attack the rook and try to get the rook to win the knight so that it'll alleviate the protection on c2, a2. Rook h5. That stops the bishop from coming to g5. So b5 here. We're trying still to get our pawns rolling. B3, pawn b3. That just doesn't seem to be the best move. I think that was a complete mistake there. This does little to help White's annex of territory. This actually allows for bishop to b6 to be played. There's really no need to grab the pawn yet. Magnus is trying to build up, so he's going to try to maybe later on break with d3, and then after pawn takes, the rook could take on a2 and cause a lot of chaos in the position. So let me see here. So bishop b6, c3 was again a mistake here. Not a mistake, but a dubious move, because what this allows is Magnus to actually play d3. See, c3. This position contains good. It contains a inaccuracy that White played. Let me see, where am I here? And Black's pawns was able to go to d3, and by that it gave Magnus an advantage over his opponent, even though it could be attacked via knight c1. It's not strong enough to have that potential. The bishop now can play bishop to f3 or e3 and get everything involved there. Rook c1. The idea was, though, trying to gang up on the d3 pawn. Bishop a5 is an exclam move. That's actually really a good move. See, bishop a5, it does an important role here. See, even if the rook were to take here, rook takes, knight takes, and then bishop takes. Now Magnus has two connected pass pawns that are not connected passers, but he has two pawns that are further down the board than White's, and this bishop will help escort them down the board, and also potentially maybe better than bishop takes right away would actually be rook takes a2, and then if the knight retreats back to block, bishop takes could also free up the pawns. So rotates d, knight takes d. Oh, he did play down our move. Wow, he did go down right down the move. Rook there, and then bishop takes here. Rook takes check on h. So we gotta promote this main line. Check. So the material is even, but the game isn't. The basically Magnus's labor has created a farther down the reach past pawns. His b pawn is more advanced than his opponent's g pawn, and therefore more of a threat of queening. And his bishop is much better than the knight when it comes to a two pawn sideboard. If the pawns were on one side, the knight would, like if these two pawns were over here, this knight would dominate the bishop. But now the bishop dominates the knight. So b3, let me see here. King c6, he's gonna move. G4, B4, G5, B3, G6. Now it's in your corner, my friends. There is a black to move, black to move. Exclaim. So it's your turn to move. Black to move, exclaim. Black to move, exclaim. So what is the exclaim move for black? I'll be right back. I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, if you said Rook D2 for Magnus, exclaim, you were spot on. Congratulations on that. The most untrusting person in the world is one who declines for the honesty of an attack. That's basically what he says. It's funny. It's how that he words stuff kind of odd, the author. But what he's saying is that you can't be, and I'll rephrase it because he's saying, I think the author's saying is, don't be afraid to attack even when it looks like it may not work, because sometimes just that one move is enough to win. And this move makes sense because even if King E3 is played, Rook takes, King takes, Pawn push, and even if King takes, you get a Queen. So that was a beautiful move by Magnus. Beautiful. King E3, Rook G2, and That's promote. Rook h6. Bishop d2 check. Exclam. The bishops greets the white king with an attack. King f3. Bishop takes h. King takes h. g8, g2 I mean. a5. White's passed pawns are halted. Black's pawns roll down the board. Knight b2. And then king b5. And it's all over. And so now we got to go back. He has a quick summary here. This is, he says, in summary, d takes e4 leads to a type of Rubinstein. But I think it's superior to the one that for black when to compare to the mainline version. This right here. Okay, let's do a Magnus Carlsen endgame now. Let me get a sip and we'll get started. Needed to edit the board. Okay. Let's edit. Magnus is white, his opponent is black. Excuse me, allergies sometimes are just not fun. Okay, study, going into our folder. To move. Carlsen is white, so excuse me. Rook to f1 is somewhat better in this position, as he has slightly less space. Black has doubled pawns. But, you know, you have to always consider what's the best here. So, rook f8. Queen f2. Man does not want to give up the f file. King g8. G3, King G2, or G5, King G2, Rook F7, A4. He's tempting, the rook can't come back, so he's testing his opponent. Rook F8, trying to shift back to come after the pawn. B3, and he could actually play this move because if the queen were to take here, he loses material, so that's why he can actually play that. 1 second. Let me get back into this. Alright. Rook F7. He's just waiting. B4. Magnus gains space. King F8. Now we take. Rook takes. Oh, rook doesn't take. Okay. Pawn takes. D4 is a playable, not D4, sorry. Boom, get rid of that. D4 is interesting. It's worth always considering to see if it'd be worth doing. But Magnus went with taking, and then he took there. There's also rook takes is actually should be worse in this principles, as the pawn in-8 is more likely than not to be losing after rook takes. Pawn takes. She takes. Black is clearly worse, but has some chances because it's not certain whether white's king can invade or not. So F3, G4, which is an exclam move. I think that's it. Those are the two, so we'll do the king one first. H5, exclam for black. D4. E7. D5. King F7. G4. H4. King E3. King E7. King D4. King D7. King C4. King E7. King B5. Oops. Not C4, sorry. King C4. King E7, and then King B5. And then King D7. White should not be able to infiltrate. So G4 here stops F5, so King E7, D4 now, C6, B5, King D7, F3, King F3, King C7, king e3, king d7, b takes c check, b takes c check, king d3, and king c7, king c4, king b7, d5, king c7, d takes, king takes, and king d4. Black is in Zook Swamp. Now king e6, king f3, king f7, e3, king 3, g6, king d3, h5, h3, takes, takes, king f7, a5, b takes, b takes, c6, c4, king e7, d5, c5, and king c2, and white's king will invade. So on g4, king f7, d4, king g6, d5, king f7, king f3, king e7, and then king e3. So you're basically going for a really strong endgame. White's going to try to see if he can infiltrate in. King e7, king c4, king d7, king b5, king c8, come on, and then a5. White can infiltrate. Rook f5 is an exclam move by Magnus. The rook stands well on the 5th rank. King e7 is a dubious move here. It doesn't really do anything. An automatic move, normal move, would have been actually king to g7. It's actually an exclam for black. You just got to kind of be patient here. You're going to have to hold on for dear, as I like to say, dear life here. c4, rook to f8, and black should be able to hold this, but his other line, no. Excuse me. Papa could have actually, I think, held had he played. F3 and rook F8, which is actually a dubious move. Sorry, I didn't have the moves entered in. No, I got him. Papa Wood wanted to acquire his activate his rooks. He should have consolidated first by playing H5 exclam H4 G7 King E3 C6. Oh, it's not C5. That was a mouse slip on my part. C6 D4 and then rook to G6. And white is clearly better, but black is probably not lost just yet. Black's not lost just yet. Rook to G5 or G4 exclam move for Magnus, because now he stops H5. Rook 8. King A5 or pawn A5. C5. Papa sacrifices a pawn for play for his rook. It is too late to use his king to stop white's infiltration. Like if he had tried king F7, king H5, B takes C, A takes, pawn takes, and then king G7, D4, C5, D takes, oops. I dislike when that happens. C4, king H7, H4, G takes, pawn takes, king G7, king G4, king G6, H5, king G7, king F5, and you actually win here. Because if the king comes over to F7, you can actually push, and if takes, he can't come over to stop this pawn, you from taking this pawn. So C5, A takes, B6. Carlsen gains, again has 2 pawn squares from promotion. Such a pawn is almost always a source of danger for your opponent. C takes D, rook A4, B5, rook A2, H4, rook D2, oops. Rook F6 or F3, rook F3. With his last 3 moves, Carlsen has done his best to keep as many pawns on the board as possible. Now his king is ready to invade. King F7. If rook B2, king H5, rook takes b5, king takes h6, rook takes b6, king g6, white wins. He plays f there, and then king g5, h takes g4 is a double question mark. In general, the weaker side seeks to decline the number of pawns. But this time this is terrible consequence. It removes a target for black. If king g7, it's still a mistake, so it's not like you're out of the woods. It's because d4 can actually be played. Rook takes d4, and then rook c3 wins. He should try. Let's see here. Black should attack the b pawn at once with rook to b2, which is actually a exclam move. So this is black's opportunity to try to keep the solidity of the structure. King takes, h takes g, g takes h, rook takes b5, rook f5, rook takes b6, h5, rook c6, rook b5, b6, d4, rook c4, rook takes b6, rook takes b7 check, and then king e6, and king g7, rook takes e, would be equal. Difficult for black to attack here, so rook, see, king f5, or rook f5, huh? Oh, rook g2. Wait, hold on. What did I? Oh, I gotta go back to. Rook f5, king g2, exclam. Here is a good one. Rook f3, rook b2, king takes h6, takes, and then of course takes. Takes b5. With white is still better. Black probably can hold rook g3 at this point. Bishop takes. g7 check. King e6. d4. Rook b1, and then h5, d4 or d5, takes check, king takes, and black gets away with it. So g takes h, rook b2, rook f5, rook h2, d4, threatens to play e5, rook e2, if rook h1, e5 wins, if king e6, d5 check, king e7, rook f3, oops, rook f3, rook e2, rook c3, rook takes there, check, and white wins. Rook f4, b2, if okay, if king g7, rook g4, check, king h7, g6, rook g6, rotates e4, rotates f6, rotates d4, f7 check, king g8, rotates b, d5, king g6, white's b pawn will promote. So e5, if takes here, rook takes b, g4 would win as well. D takes e, b takes b5, d takes e, sorry, rook takes b5, and rook takes f6 check, king g7, g6 check, king f8, king takes h6, rook takes e5, the Lomson's table base proves that white wins here. So let me see here. Excuse me. Let's see. What am I missing? F6. That can't be right. Oh, F8. Takes. Rook takes. F6 check. King E7. King G6. Rook E4. H5. The H pawn can't be stopped. Rook G4, King F5, Rook H4, Rook H6, King C there, Rook G5, King G5, Rook H1, King F6, check. King F6. Rook H1. What in the world? I did something right here. Let's see here. So H4 there. King D. H1. Ah, that's the problem. Rook G6. Rook G1. King F6. There we go. H1 and then boom. There it is. H6. Carlsen keeps up the tension on the f-file, later gaining space on the queen's side, obtaining the pawn close to promotion. Finally, he has the ability to invade, and his king does a lot of damage. Let's see here. Let's see if we'll do like 6 puzzles and then I'll log. But if there's some, if you participate, I might do maybe 12, but I'll see. Let's do 6 if there's no participation. Okay, dokie. Yep. Queen, if you're thinking queen takes h6, king takes h6, rook h3, checkmate. Great job there. 1 down, 5 more to go. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, the Lord does. It should always be thanked for sure. Let's see here, there. Alright, so here we go. Alright, nice job. There we go. Check. King takes. There it is. Perfect. You got in just as we were doing puzzles. You got in. So this is our, now we're on our third puzzle of the 12. So we're doing good. Do 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 do. Gotta put the pawns in. Oops, I forgot to do that. There we go. Come on. Come on. Let's see here. And the king's there. There. Perfect. Well, when you have the joy of the Lord in your heart and you're playing chess, you can't but not sing and have a good old time. Okay. So I gotta do the... There we go. Yeah. Nice job there. Yep, good work. Tells you it's not about material. It's about checkmate. Oops, not starting position. Clear the board. And get the pawns a-rolling. Get the pawns a-rolling. Let's see. Oh, I like my favorites. Phillips. I like Phillips, Craig, and Dean. Those are that's the type of genre I like. So. Let's see here. Okay, I think. Oops, do I have it all? Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. They were actually preachers' sons that got together, and they created a band, and each one of them is a son of a preacher, and so it's Philip, Craig, and Dean. Each one of them. They have some really good biblical Christian music. Let's see here. There we go. I just want to make sure I have this right. Alright, your turn. It's your turn, mate, in 2. Let's see if you got it. Sometimes when they get all those pieces and pawns like that, it takes me a second to have to go through and siphon all the pawns out to make sure I have them when they have them all like that. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Wow. Reminds me of a Puzzle Rush one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. sure I got this right. Okay, that's right, that's right, that's right, right. Perfect. Nice. There's actually two mates here. There's two checkmate and twos. There's actually, I believe, two checkmate and twos. Oh, three? Let's see. Yeah, I think you're right. There's three. Yeah, there's three, I think. Yeah, I knew there was two, but I didn't know there was. Yeah, there was one more. And okay, perfect. So you found the first one. E. That's the first move. And if knight takes e5, queen g5 is the first mate. Okay, what's the next mate? What's the next two mates? I mean. All right, bishop takes king f5. Then I think there's four different mates because there's a mate on g5. There's a mate on. Nope, that's not a mate. So it's a mate on g5. The other one doesn't work. Surprisingly, that doesn't work because of the flight square of. So that's a mate, g5. There's one more mate. King g6, king g5. Right. Queen g5. I mean, is mate. So there's three mates. Yeah, hoorah! I gotta love that. Okay. All right. This one's an interesting one. Let's see if you can solve this one. I know you can find it. It's a little bit tricky, but I know you'll find it. This one's a tiny bit tricky. Good water. Yep, there you go. That's a kind of a tricky puzzle. Gotta love them, though. Got to love the puzzles when they're like that. Do, 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 do. There. Just want to make sure I got all this. Oops, almost forgot a knight. That'd be helpful if there was a knight there. There we go. Oh. Because I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus. That's why. That's why I like Christian music. Yeah. Well, not really. There not true rock. There is rock, but I don't really like rock and roll. No. A lot of it has it's a lot of sometimes to me noise, but yeah, 'cause it's like there are some Christian singers that sound like they do have a rock and roll in it. So you gotta choose the good one. That's why I like Phillips, Craig, and Dean. There's some good Christian bands out there, but you got to be careful because some of them sound like rock and roll. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? Queen takes. Oh yeah, nah. Well, let's see. Takes king. Yeah, that is it. I've actually seen this pattern before. That after you take here, don't this pattern does arise a lot, and I've noticed in the London system for white, you're gonna see this very common. This type of pattern right here, that you get to sacrifice material and then open up and that you can actually use. So a lot of these puzzles that Father Pogar does is actually from, or puts in the book, are from games. So these do apply to certain openings. So that's why I kind of go over his book and uh, the puzzles that we do, because they have a really good amount of he used this, I believe, for his doctoral, one of his for one of his classes. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I thought I heard somebody say that, so I'm not sure. So this is a well outlined book. Let's see, where am I? Oh, there we go. There we go. We're gonna get this. Let's make sure I almost got all of white's pieces put in, right? Yeah, perfect. Now let's do the pawns for black. Let's see, there. So we're good so far. Wow, almost the entire board is still left. Okay. Yep. Well, I've listened to some. He actually had Elvis Presley did some Christian music too. Yeah, so he started out singing hymns and stuff. Elvis. Let's see here. Let me see. Oops, sorry, I gotta put in white to move for so that the group can see, or the team trust cruncher can have an opportunity. Nice. Yeah, that this is also a common setup too. Pulling the king, which yeah, the king moves, bishop comes, and that's mate. And like what you guys said about queen king g6, you then can actually play. I'm trying to think. What did I? Bishop e. Yep, bishop e4 works. Yep, because of the pin here. Yep, great work there. Nice job. Oops, not starting position. Come on. There we go. We'll get the pawns put in first. That's actually, I find that if you do the pawns and the puzzles first, it's a faster setup for some reason. It may just be me, but I think it feels faster. It's kind of like when Pippin and Merry were getting walked back by Treebeard. He says going south. He said always made it feel like he was going faster because he was going down. He was trying to do an English humor joke with the hobbits. But I always remember that, and I thought that was kind of cute. Let's see here. All right. Let's see, what do we got here? This one is an interesting puzzle too, so I think you're gonna really enjoy this one. Yeah, I apologize if I sound kind of nasally or anything because I just allergies. A lot of stuff's blooming. I think there's 3 different mates. Maybe 3. I'm thinking there's 3. Let me see. There, there, there. No, that's not mate because the knight blocked there. So there. So I think there's only truly one. I think there's only one. I was thinking that okay. Right. Yeah. This is the only one that is checkmate because here I was thinking that potentially g4. Yeah, I was thinking g4, and then after knight. Well, knight takes pawn. Yep, that doesn't work because of the check. Yep. So there's only one mate. Yeah. You gotta always be on guard with those. Make sure they're a mate. That's one thing I've learned from these puzzles. Just if you think they're a mate, double check it, and if it is, then go with it. But if it's not, focus down and see what did you overlook, and then find the mate. Okay, almost. Where's Black's king? There we go. Okay, it's gonna make sure. Let me see. There. Still good. Good. Okay, we're good to go here. sure did I get that one right? Yep. Yep. There's actually two mates, I think. If he takes, it's mate on G5. If he moves, it's mate on G5. Yep. Okay. Alright. After this one, we got one more puzzle. Okay. Boy. I dislike when sometimes you have to sneeze and you can't. That's irritating. This one's a really unique one. This is a really unique one. This puzzle's really unique. Yeah, there we go. Oh, cool. Great job on finding that. That's a really unique puzzle. That one was fun. That was a fun one, I gotta say. Okay, this is the last puzzle for the day. This is the last one. I'll put it in here and erase the other thing. Oops, I have to give you the... There we go. I want to make sure I put in the pieces right. Yes, exactly. There's this really, this is a really unique one. This is a really, really, really fun one. I was like, it took me a second to figure this one out. But this is a really cool one. Yeah, yeah. There's actually a couple routes. There's two mates, actually. There's two checkmates. F takes and there. There's one other checkmate. One more checkmate. And I'll see if you can find that one. You found the first one. There's a second checkmate too. Do you see the second checkmate? Yep. Good job. Perfect. Okay. Do you have any questions before I log off? Yeah. That does happen sometimes. All right. I wanted to thank you all for logging on. Thank you for participating and um, staying on and working and doing our French opening, our end game, and some puzzles. Excellent job on doing that. But remember, what you think about is important. So if you think on the Lord Jesus and receive Him and then have the Holy Spirit come in your life, and He'll teach you all things, He'll help you in chess and stuff. And you know what? It's not an easy road, but guess what? It's so worth it. So what we have to remember, like what Bruce Lee said, is that there are plateaus in chess and in every field of life. But you have to be okay with not always, going 100% all the time, because what'll happen is you may feel like you're not doing, like at first when you're working out, you build and you get a lot of muscling, but then over time it's small increments of growth, but those small increments of growth are building upon something even bigger. So it's kind of like, even though it's not 50 or 60%, muscle growth, it may be 5 or 10 or 12%, but your muscles are bigger, like our brain muscle gets stronger, but and sometimes we feel like we're not improving or pushing forward farther. You actually are. And it'll be like one day you'll look at a chess puzzle that you couldn't solve maybe a week or a couple months or maybe a year ago, and you'll instantly be able to solve it, and you'll be like, where'd that come from? That's all the times you put into the chess gym, like the mental gym. I call it the mental gym, the mind gym. Yeah, even when you're doing weights and building your muscling, you have to put in the time to do that. And you have to make sure that when you're building that you're doing it safely. You don't want to overwhelm and lift too many things at one time. Even in weightlifting, you have to take small breaks in between and like get water and stuff and all that. 1 second, sorry. Oh, I apologize. Allergies are a pain. But okay, so what you have to also remember that, yeah, Bruce Lee didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but he feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. So if we keep our mind active, we keep pushing forward in chess and honoring the Lord, and we always keep in mind that we want to, if you're interested in the French defense, go all in the French defense for black. If you're interested in whatever opening for white, go all in on that. But don't do like a dozen different openings for white and a dozen different openings for black. You won't be able to fully master those 12 openings. You'll be constantly trying to figure out, and you'll be uncomfortable in those positions when you do play against your opponent. So it's good sometimes. My grandmaster teacher told me, if you're going to do an opening, if you're starting out, pick one. But if you want to kind of switch up, you can pick two. So if you're interested in the French defense blends into, like, a secondary opening you can do is the Dutch defense is one that also would be a secondary one you can do. And if you're interested in like a really good opening for white is the London system. That has a lot of different openings in it. It's based on patterns at that point. So just keep that in mind, and also remember, take what you know and then apply it to like the puzzles or the book that you're reading in chess or something like that, and you'll find your knowledge will increase too. And I find that if you do little increments of study, like maybe 10 to 30 minutes at a whack, rather than just sit down for hours, I find that helps with my learning. And then you can get up, walk around, then sit back down and do maybe 10 or 10, 20, or 30 more minutes. But you need to take breaks in between your learning sessions. And I like what Yasser Serum once said. He said that every long journey begins with one small step. So our first step is your first step is logging on to Chess Cruncher TV and sticking with me and until the end. And I appreciate that you all do that and spend your time learning and always honoring the Lord with your talents. That's huge. And we have to remember to always, when you're sitting down to do over the board or any even puzzles, remember to put on your Grandmaster tactic glasses. And you have to also remember what Tom Thumb Thumb said to Tango is treasure your victories, learn from your losses, and remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you as a chess player and as a person. But I always like the Luna Patuna. It's from a cartoon, but the thing is, when they were panicking and they couldn't find the solution, what they did was they stopped, breathe, and then believe that you can find the solution of and that sometimes helps in chess too. So if you get into like a position and you panic and you're panicking and you're panicking, just stop, breathe, and believe that the Lord Jesus can help you. And then maybe close your eyes or get up, walk around, and then come back, and you'll get a new perspective. And for some reason, I do that, and it helps with if I get into a tight position that I feel like my position's about to collapse. You can sometimes siphon through and find a draw or maybe even a win that you might have overlooked and you thought was losing, but it's actually winning. But in the end, as Team Chess Cruncher, we have to do what chess crunchers do, and that is we hang up our coat, we hang up our hat, we sit down and study when most won't. Chess crunchers do. And that makes all the difference. And as Wesley So says to the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and learn when I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward and honoring the Lord with our talents. And you know what? We're going to have fun doing our opening, middle game, and end game studies. So great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed. Remember what Hannibal Smith said. Always have your opponent reacting to your moves, not you to the other moves. And when you win or draw, you get to say inside, I love it when a plan comes together. But remember, you don't want to say that outside because that would hurt your opponent's feelings. And chess is about helping, improving our mental capacity, and also helping others and honoring the Lord Jesus. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed. And I'll see you tomorrow. Keep having fun with chess. Bye bye.